Leadership isn't a title, it is the ability to light the way for others. Great leaders do not command the path, they illuminate it so others can walk it. Welcome to The Luminaries, a series where ideas are shared, perspectives are shaped, and conversations go beyond business.
The team needs to be close to basics, to discipline, to integrity, close to customers, close to market reality, close to what's happening on the ground, especially when we have such young leaders.
When you invest in relationship, you realize that who are your important stakeholders and what matters to them. And when you realize what matters to them, then it becomes quite easier. So that's the first thing, I realized that, building trust starts with investing into relationship.
We believe that, we should and we would want people to make mistakes. I think that's part of the learning curve, and clearly it defines how an individual grooms. All of us have done that. So there's a lot of empowerment for people to take decisions, even if they end up resulting into maybe not the outcomes that we would expect.
The Luminaries, where leaders illuminate, influence, and inspire.
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to the series of The Luminaries. It's a platform where we celebrate leadership, learning, and the light that inspires all others to grow. I am Shilpa Lohia here, and I've had the privilege of working in the BFSI sector with HDFC Life since the year 2004. Over these years, my journey has allowed me to manage multiple roles and responsibilities, shaping not just my professional growth, but also my belief that true leadership is always about continuous learning and empowering others. Today's session is not just a conversation. It is an opportunity to draw inspiration from experiences, insights, and stories of excellence. Today we have the leaders of the industry, and it is my privilege to introduce Ms. Pearl Sabawala, HDFC Bank Executive Vice President at RBB. She leads with vision, resilience, and a deep commitment to excellence. We are delighted to have her today with us, and we look forward to gaining valuable insights from her experience and perspectives. On the panel, we also have Ms. Priya Grover from HDFC Life, Zonal Business Head at RBB Relationship. She is known for a strategic vision and steadfast focus on building sustainable business growth. It is our privilege to welcome her today and eagerly anticipate her insights and thought leadership. And now it gives me great pleasure to also introduce our third panelist, Mr. Jasjeet Singh from HDFC Life, who heads HDFC Banca and alternate sales. His career reflects a rare blend of strategic thinking and execution excellence, and he's a very strong leader. Mr. Singh, who is known for building high-performance teams and driving sustainable business growth. We are really honored to have him with us today. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of learning and leadership. Let us begin this engaging and enriching session of The Luminary. Thank you so much, Pearl, Priya, and Jasjeet for joining us for this learning and leadership session. Starting with Pearl, leaders are always close to frontline reality. Targets, customers, and people challenge all happening simultaneously. So how do you really distinguish between a very consistently performing team and not such a consistent distribution team?
Thanks, Shilpa. With the kind of distribution that we have and the larger teams that we handle, we need to be very clear of three very important things. You need to be very clear. You need to be very close. Clear is when I say what to do, how to do, why to do, when to do. So you need to be very clear. Every team member should be very clear of the big picture, of the goal, and close. Close meaning the team needs to be close to basics, to discipline, to integrity, close to customers, close to market reality, close to what's happening on the ground, especially when we have such young leaders, understanding the challenges that the young leaders are facing. So when we are clear and we are close, Then only we come to the third point, which is the execution. So, if you have the daily momentum on the execution, I think it's very easy to lead a large team because everyone in the team knows what to do, very clear how to do it, very clear about the execution, and most of all, everyone is accountable. And one very important point to drive such a large team is also to reward. So you forget the reward part and you just get the execution done, then you don't work in tandem with the goals. So closeness, clarity, execution, and reward. I think these are the four very important pillars I personally drive.
Thank you so much, Pearl. So, Priya, what we've seen is, over the years, most of us realize that our leadership styles evolve, with growing roles and responsibilities. What do you think, looking back at your journey, has changed the most for you in the way that you lead today?
Yeah, thank you, Shilpa. I think that's a brilliant question. So, when I look back and I reflect, when I started my career, it was largely into sales and distribution. I always felt that success is the only outcome when you yourself are into it. So I realized that to move the things faster, for a faster execution, I felt as if I need to take complete control of things. I felt as if I need to have minutest details. But what I realized over a period of time, that it did help me initially, but what I realized, that success is not about singularly managing the entire thing. It is about how can I deliver to how can we deliver together. I realized building strong connect with the team is very important. Also in the interim, we should start seeing it how team is also responding back to your approach. So for me, when I look at back in terms of valuing what you bring onto the table, getting everyone together, and also making everyone accountable for the task. So it's more about getting clarity, giving them more space to work. And what people really value is how they are inspired, how you could bring everyone together for a collective objective, and that's where you can drive a larger team together.
Thank you so much, Priya. So, Jasjeet, you've been leading a very large team, right? So, in terms of distribution, it's absolutely results driven where numbers are visible every single day. Now, in such a dynamic environment, how do you really see that people development and motivation continue to be as important as performance?
So I think, Shilpa, we are today a workforce which is very, I would say, diverse in terms of the way it used to be maybe a few years back, and we've seen a lot of evolution both in terms of digital adoption as well, which has been an advent more so in the last recent few years. But I particularly believe, I think the new generation brings a lot of energy, and I think for a lot of us who've been into our working life for many years in terms of the experience, but I believe that a few things which have worked really well for us have been particularly around getting people to take early accountability. I think that really works well. Delegating to people and making people part of the larger goal, I think, is really important. Gone are those days when major decisions were centered amongst only a set of senior people. I think today the kind of opinions that get shared in terms of ideas, etc., I think is really far more democratic, I would say. And then I think that's really worked well for us. And I think to augment that further, we've seen that we do regular coaching. I mean, there's not a distance, so to say, between each peer level. I mean, we work very closely with even the new joinees, and we try and coach them in terms of taking early accountability, as I mentioned. Also, what we really work on is that we believe that we should and we would want people to make mistakes. I think that's part of the learning curve, and clearly it defines how an individual grooms. All of us have done that. So there's a lot of empowerment for people to take decisions, even if they end up resulting into maybe not the outcomes that we would expect. But I would say fairly, I think we've been successful to really guide our workforce in a way where they feel much more, much more at ease. I would say they don't feel the pressure of not giving an opinion, and therefore the outcomes really determine what we've been able to successfully achieve so far. So I think that's what.
Great, Jasjeet. I think, coming back on the empowering, I think that's a very valid point, and I'm sure we will come back to this. Coming back to you, Pearl. Now, in complex environments, in senior roles, often we've seen leaders balancing between multiple priorities and expectations. Now, how do you personally, bring clarity and alignment in your team when you think everything is equally important?
Oh yeah, Shilpa. There are 100 things and 100 priorities that are always there, and we are always on fire. But over the years, I've realized that to focus on 2, 3 very important priorities makes the difference. And when you have very specific 2, 3 priorities that you ask the team to focus upon, the advantage is that there is a lot of clarity on the most important thing. And very important in this cacophony of all the different goals and the different running that we do towards completion of our task, I think most important as a leader is calmness. I think when you are calm and you are focusing on the 2, 3 very important goals, automatically calmness, brings about alignment. And continuously, when the team is looking up to me as a leader, I am also aligned to ask those kind of questions only, focusing on that 2, 3 very important subject that I have identified, that the bank has identified as our goals. Also, very important point that we need to understand is our Gen Z. Most of my strength of my total employees, a sizable strength comes from Gen Z. So I'm not saying that, oh, abhi ye naya generation alag hai, because our children are Gen Z. So I think we need to unlearn and understand and make those 2, 3 goals relevant to the Gen Z. So when I make that simple and I make them understand the relevance, I think execution is a cakewalk. So this is my personal philosophy, that I don't overload them with. There are important things, but very very important things are non-negotiable.
Well, what I take away from here is the over communication. I think that is something which
And
really
calmness.
and calmness,
Yeah.
absolutely, because that is something which brings clarity, and especially the Gen Zs that you mentioned here, right? Coming to you, Priya. Now, in collaborative ecosystems, what we've seen is leaders need to, or they have to, say, influence beyond a formal reporting line, right? So, what really think has helped you build that trust, influence teams across, and may not be in a formal reporting line to drive outcome at scale? Yeah.
Yeah, so for me to build trust, I believe in investing into relationships. And when you invest in relationship, you realize that who are your important stakeholders. So that's the first thing. I realized that building trust starts with investing into relationship. Subsequently, once you know that this is what my stakeholders' important priority, what you need to do is that I just try and take the ownership. And ownership is not just for the sake of doing it. You'll have to step in. You'll have to take charge. You'll have to align the entire team and to show the team there is a common objective. And so that's the first part of it. Second, I realized that once you assume that responsibility of taking the ownership, getting the teams together, what important matters, how you acknowledge and appreciate the small efforts that people have done it, or what kind of impact that they have created to complete the task. That becomes a larger reason to get people together for you to get into a subsequent objectives to be taken forward. So what I realized is getting team together, making them feel valued. There has to be a common objective, and taking ownership, stepping in and going ahead with a lot of clarity and making them confident that this is what it's all about. And that's where this has really helped me in creating a very strong collaboration for driving larger objective.
Thank you so much, Priya. And Jajit, coming back to you on people that we were speaking about, right? Now, today, the leaders not only have the responsibility for, that they're responsible for delivering outcomes, but they're also responsible for developing their next line of leaders, right? So, what is it? There was few practices that you consciously follow to develop your next line of leadership, Jajit.
Yeah, so I think, I kind of alluded on this earlier as well. I think we believe in, shared mission, shared vision, shared goals, and therefore comes the entire accountability part of it, where we want to really also not be power center in terms of taking some of these critical decisions, but make it much more democratic in terms of involving the larger workforce. And I think that's something that I alluded previously. But I think coming to your specific question, worked well is that I think listening is very important, and I think opinions really, at times form a critical part of what we really end up delivering as an overall objective or a goal. And I think some of the key things that I have learned particularly, and we have a very diverse workforce. We've learned that some of our women folks who are part of our team have really demonstrated excellence in terms of some of the things which we never anticipated they would end up doing. And for me also, I think as one of the leaders, we've always seen that they've excelled really well. They take these, some of the, I would say, roles which maybe a lot of others wouldn't have really managed to even kind of think about. So I think clearly, working very closely with each one of them, and I quite echo what Pearl also mentioned. I think over communicating is really important. Given that a lot of us have a very limited receptiveness in terms of thinking and looking at multiple facets of our daily work life, I think it's very important to keep people engaged, I would say. And I think one of the other things which has really worked well is that in terms of our key performance indicators, we make sure that we are really updating them regularly through multiple dashboards, business KPI metrics, etc., which kind of get shared so that people don't feel that somebody is coming back and reminding them after, let's say, 3 months, 6 months of what was discussed maybe 6 months before. So I think it's truly making sure that there is regular what has worked for us, and both organizations at large is making sure there's transparency. I think we are organizations and institutions which are known for governance. I think in the industry, HDFC as a brand has really demonstrated it consecutively. Clearly that has, clear governance, clean understanding of business, communication. I think that's something all of us kind of talked about. And shared vision. I think that's very important. So I think some of these things have really been at the forefront of what we do.
Absolutely, Jajit. And I think the key takeaway again here is the constant feedback and being transparent. Because a lot of time people are in that illusion in terms of what is it that they're actually delivering or where are the gap areas. And I think constant feedback really helps them develop further. So coming back to you, Pearl, you've led very large distribution teams over your 3 decades of experience and shaped careers for a lot of people. Now, I'm a little curious to understand that, what do you think, as per you, women leaders or, women really bring in terms of a unique perspective to decision making or people leadership?
So I have a very different take here. I don't think as a leader gender matters, because I think a leader has to have the right intent. He or she needs to be accountable, and most of all he needs to be aware. So whether you are a lady or a gentleman and in the leadership role, it genuinely doesn't matter. I often think, and I often am amused when I hear people saying, oh, because she's a woman, she couldn't do this, or because she's a woman, she could do that. I mean, it's just relative. I don't really think that. But yeah, and another funny part is I have never worked with a lady supervisor, and I have only learned the way men think as leaders, and I've been blessed with excellent bosses who have been men, and I have learned the traits of the leadership. Now, whether it was masculine way of thinking leadership or a feminine way, I genuinely I don't know. But what I will definitely tell here is that I have definitely had difficulty in navigating as a leader, and then I have looked upon a lot of women, my mom particularly, because she retired from a very senior level from a PSU bank, and she has been my constant mentor, and the kind of professionalism that she brought into her table. I've learned a lot from my mom, and I truly attribute to being a good leader to her. So to me, being a woman or a man doesn't matter. But yes, one thing I'll definitely say, that there are certain traits of a woman that adds to the leadership, like uh, understanding, empathy. Maybe they are a little more aware of what's happening in the room, immediately able to catch a discomfort. So I think that are the 2-3 things that we definitely bring to the table.
So Pearl says it's all about the instinct that the women bring on the
Yeah.
table. So Jasjeet being on the male in the panel, I think Jasjeet, what would be your take to this? I mean, you really think women bring any unique perspective to decision making?
No, I think I agree. I couldn't, would have looked at any situation because, as Pearl and Priya both mentioned, I think, to every situation there are two ways to look at it, and I have always seen women taking a more progressive approach. I mean, they'll be patient. I mean, most of us as men, are wanting to take ad hoc calls and maybe sometimes get wrong with some of the key decisions. But I think they'll be at it. They'll be persistent. They'll be very focused, and they will give time. I mean, they'll not really get out of it and say, oh, this can't happen, but they'll, have perseverance enough to be able to take the right calls. And in my teams and, amongst a lot of our other peer groups, we've seen some of these decisions have been largely led by women in our organization. We are also led by a women CEO, which is Vibha, and I think that really works well. Also, I think the other thing which I have seen is that they're very good at closing things. I mean, most of us, as leaders, we end up taking some of these calls where we want to really, get a certain thing accomplished in a certain span of time. A lot of leaders I've seen kind of, they step out, or maybe they'll take a call, oh, this is not happening, or this is not how it was envisioned. But as I mentioned, the kind of persistence levels which we see amongst women, I think they really stand out, and which is where I always keep telling people in my team that, if you have to ever look at somebody who can execute the way it should be done, I think no better than, some of our women colleagues who've really demonstrated excellence in that sphere. I think the last point, Shilpa, I mean, we all of us have women supporting us in different roles that they play, and I mean, be as a mother or a sister or a wife, or a woman, colleague or a boss. But I think what we really, see them contributing meaningfully more so today is getting the right balance. What happens is, it's not about, as Pearl kind of alluded, it's not about having a masculine way of thinking or a feminine way of thinking, but it's largely how do you really cater to a particular problem and are able to then provide solutions. I would say, I mean, not that I'm colored, but at least out of my experience, I've always seen that wherever we've had women decision makers, we've seen, better outcomes. And that's my view. But even if you pick up any situation, any organization, you will see that thing standing out in terms of the critical role that they play. So I think that's something that really stands out.
So coming to you, Priya, again, many leaders very early in their career generally feel pressurized, to fit into a certain kind of a leadership mold. Now, how important do you think that it is to maintain your own leadership style, and how do you think that has shaped your journey?
So I think authenticity played a very, very important role in one's career, if I look at it that way. Because when I look back in my initial career, yes, I was into the pressure of a predefined leadership style, and while it did help me over a period of time, but what according to me, I realized that you are not genuine in that situation, and it only created a lot more distance within the team, and at times you felt there is a lack of credibility. So maybe over a period of time I felt that for me today the authenticity is all about being transparent, how grounded you are, how well you are connected with the team, how well you can support the team at various scenarios and getting them together for a collective objective, and also foster a culture where people feel safe to speak out, and creating an ecosystem where people feel they are valued and inspired, and as a leader our job is to make their life easy. So for me authenticity is all about being grounded, being more transparent, and what value you brings onto the table. It's more about how you deliver those not by just word but by action.
Coming to what Priya just mentioned about fostering the culture, Jasjeet, you've seen teams really grow, or maybe a very large team, but what we've seen is leaders generally tend to struggle maintaining the right culture and performance. Now, how do you think that you can strike the right balance between maintaining the right culture and performances for the team?
So yeah, I think inclusivity is very important. I think that is at the center stage of what you really bring about or showcase or advocate as a culture. I think getting people to have a sense of belonging, I think, is very important, and I really believe that empowerment for each one, irrespective of the level that they are in, will really have the right culture cultivating in terms of being approachable, being empathetic, like kind of Pearl also alluded. I think those are very, very critical attributes to making sure that the culture is something which you would really want. So it's culture, I mean, it's a lot of times we debate that, oh, this is the right kind of culture or this is not the right kind of culture. But I think culture is something which, every employee embodies. And some of the times as organization, why do we always have some of these things as core values? And why do we need values? And I think value really sets up the entire ecosystem for one's existence. And how do you deal? I mean, in our case, we will deal with external customers, we deal with partners. So empathy is not just having empathy with employees, it's also maybe with distributors, with customers at large. So being there for your employees is one aspect of it. Making sure that they are there for you is, I think, very important, and I think that's what truly a good culture will really ever signify. So I think that's something that really I would define as the right approach towards getting the right culture in an organization.
Thank you so much, Jasjeet, and thank you so much, Pearl, Priya, and Jasjeet, for such valuable insights. And I'm sure this will take it a long way for all our people who are watching us. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Shilpa, for having us here.
Thank you, Shilpa.
Thank you, Shilpa.
With this, we come to the conclusion of today's session of The Luminaries. I, Shilpa Lohia, truly enjoyed engaging in insightful conversations with our distinguished industry leaders and gaining valuable perspectives from their experiences. We look forward to bringing you many more such enriching sessions in the future. Until then, stay connected, stay tuned for the next edition of The Luminaries. Thank you so much.